first panelist is Brother Jay Pacho. He's a member of Pi Gamma Lambda chapter right here in Metro Atlanta, graduate of Xavier University of Louisiana in New Orleans. Currently a corporate training manager for Intercontinental Hotels Group, that's IHG. Married for 14 years to Nicole Pacho, and she's a member of AKA, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. He's the father of a 10-year-old. Please welcome Brother Jay Pacho. Next up, I'd like to introduce one of our hosts of this event, the president of the student body here at Clayton College and State University. He's a senior. He's from that small town up in New York called New York City. He's also a political science major, and he is a community organizer. So he could become president one day. Please welcome the current president of the Student Government Association, Rasheen Hunter. Next up, I'm honored and delighted to introduce our next panelist. Many of you may remember that he has been a candidate for public office in the state of Georgia. He hails from Reynolds, Georgia, which is a big town in south middle Georgia. Some of you may be aware of that, where they have big high-rises and so forth. But he's a graduate of Morris Brown and also Georgia State University's business school with a master's in business administration. He's a good guy, he's a good alpha man, and also was the Democratic nominee for Georgia Labor Commissioner in 2010. Please welcome Brother Darrell Pitts.
You may have to take care of your parents. You see, the decisions that we make in this political arena is so vital for you. And I try to express this all the time everywhere I go. People talk a lot about your right to vote and the importance of voting. But when you let someone else decide for you who's going to govern you, you're going to get exactly what you asked for. The only way to determine what happens in the future is you have to have your voice heard, and you have your voice heard through the voting process. But it doesn't stop there, it actually starts there. We've got to become very educated about the issues, who we vote for, and why we vote for them. Is this a critical time in our history? Absolutely. Will you be able to afford to live a life that you deserve to live in the future? You determine that as you make your decisions on who you vote for. You may have to take care of your parents. You see, the decisions that we make in this political arena is so vital for you. And I try to express this all the time everywhere I go. People talk a lot about your right to vote and the importance of voting. But when you let someone else decide for you who's going to govern you, you're going to get exactly what you asked for. The only way to determine what happens in the future is you have to have your voice heard, and you have your voice heard through the voting process. But it doesn't stop there, it actually starts there. We've got to become very educated about the issues, who we vote for, and why we vote for them. Is this a critical time in our history? Absolutely. Will you be able to afford to live a life that you deserve to live in the future? You determine that as you make your decisions on who you vote for.
Do you think that the economy as it currently stands is going to play a role in deciding this election?
All right, who wants to take the first crack at it? Darrell? Okay. Brother Pacho.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's funny if you listen to analysts describe the current state of our economy. And the economy in its essence, right, can be measured in different facets. You can measure the economy basically in the granular level, how you're doing, right? How are you doing? How is your personal economy doing? Then you could look at things like gross domestic product. You could look at things like unemployment. You could look at things like the stock market. So there are several factors that play into how the economy is doing. So
what it is today, had our current president not made some real tough decisions around the economy, making the tough decision to deal with health care, making the tough decision to even talk about Social Security, making the tough decision to say that we got to come to the table on cost cutting. Had he not put in some of the fiscal policies, James, that he put in, we would be in far worse shape. But is it an issue? Absolute was voter ID. And people talked about fraud. And as a former internal auditor, I understand that people could circumvent the system. But the machines themselves are calibrated to a point that we have the ability to move through a voting process real quickly and efficiently. Now, on the other hand, we have a move in this country, and it's very political, because that move is that if we can get people to bring IDs or any other form of identification to the poll, we will automatically restrict the number of people from a particular party, the Democratic Party. The fact that the Supreme Court and other judiciary systems around this country are deciding that this is a systematic means to minimize the voting of a segment of people makes it discriminatory.
We hope to bring the voters away from this event. This is very important. We understand the difference, because there's no point system. You know, it's not like the Super Bowl or a basketball game. What are we supposed to take away from this debate?
You got to pay attention to the candidate. Candidates are going to tell you what you want to hear. And it's going to sound good from them, because they've all done their talking points. They know exactly what it takes to get to you. You've got to be able to look at them and sense whether or not it's coming from their heart. Are they telling me what they want to hear? Are they really talking about issues? Are they really talking about their plan? Are they just talking about, if you elect me, I will lower the unemployment rate? Well, that didn't tell you anything. What specifically are you going to do to lower the unemployment rate? So as someone who's sat and done it, I would say to you, look for specifics and then judge whether or not they come across with all sincerity. And that